Donald Trump is the only president who, from the start, has aspired to be the divider-in-chief. Thanks to the Electoral College, Donald Trump won the presidency by coming in second with 46.1% of the vote to Hillary Clinton's 48.2% of the vote. You would think that a president who came in second in the vote would immediately go to work trying to broaden his appeal to gain more voter support. That is what every president tries to do, no matter what their winning margin is. And that is one reason why their approval ratings tend to go up after Election Day and after inaugurations. Not Donald Trump. He held meetings with some people like Al Gore during the transition that indicated perhaps the Trump presidency was going to try to reach beyond that minority of voters who elected him, but that's not what happened. Donald Trump has continued the divisive politics of his presidential campaign through every day of his presidency. He has divided the country in his mind between people who voted for him and people who didn't. If you didn't vote for him, he clearly does not care what you think about anything. He doesn't care what you want. If you voted for him, you can do no wrong. That is Donald Trump's golden rule. If you voted for him, you can do no wrong. And that is what is sinking Donald Trump's presidency and dividing the country. If you voted for him, you can do no wrong. White supremacists voted for Donald Trump. American Nazis voted for Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump will never unequivocally condemn them the way any other president of the United States would. Donald Trump knows what white supremacists and Nazis want to hear. And that's why, as we reported here last night, David Duke and other white supremacists gave the president rave reviews for what he said yesterday about both sides being to blame for the murder of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville on Saturday. White supremacists and Nazis were thrilled that the American president drew a moral equivalence between Nazi racists and people protesting Nazi racists. We've never seen this before, and we say that every night about the Trump presidency. We've never seen this before, but the fundamental political principle that makes Donald Trump the divider-in-chief is that he is the only president we have ever seen who has never made the slightest attempt to win more supporters, to win more hearts and minds, to win more votes. If you weren't with him on Election Day, he hasn't tried to convert you since. And we have never seen that before in a president or in a politician. Donald Trump used to say he's not a politician, and he's right. He's not smart enough to be a politician. He's not sensitive enough to be a politician. He does not have the humanity to be a politician, and that is a very, very low bar for humanity. Can't even fake it. And the result is the divider-in-chief. His approval rating has been in steady decline since Inauguration Day, and this week he hit an all-time low of 34%. He no longer has the approval of all of the people who voted for him. He is the divider-in-chief in his own White House, which is full of factions, pro-Bannon factions, anti-Bannon factions, pro-Jared, anti-Jared. And there is the new White House Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, who is reported tonight by the Washington Post to be, quote, frustrated and dismayed by the president's lack of discipline. And according to the Post, the president is frustrated with the discipline that General Kelly has been able to introduce in the White House. The Post reports one person close to the president described him as a caged animal under Kelly. Do we have to note here that no president in history has ever been described as a caged animal by someone in his White House? Never. Do you want to think about what that means, to have a caged animal as president of the United States? If you thought you had an irrational, dangerous, impulsive president before he started to feel like a caged animal, what do you think you have in that cage tonight? The same Washington Post article reports this. Gary Cohn, Trump's top economic advisor, who is Jewish, appeared with Trump at Tuesday's news conference, standing behind the president in the lobby of Trump Tower as he suggested there were good people who protested alongside white supremacists and neo-Nazis who organized the rally. Those close to Cohn described him as disgusted and frantically unhappy, though he did not threaten to resign. As the frantically unhappy Gary Cohn spent the day in search of his dignity and his conscience, others did resign from Trump world. None of them held actual paying jobs or did anything meaningful. They were members of the President's Council on Manufacturing who, 2 days later, followed the lead of Ken Frazier, the CEO of Merck, who was the first to quit the utterly meaningless presidential council that has no real function. The members of the council who quit today before the president then abandoned the council now have to live with the shame of the 48 hours it took them to follow Ken Frazier's lead. Today, the divider-in-chief became too much for the members of the President's Strategic and Policy Forum, which is another group of CEOs that had no function at all. They all agreed among themselves today to simply quit as a group, and the president got wind of that before they could publicly do it, and in a tweet, he disbanded the group just before they could publicly resign. And it was just moments ago that this president was lying to the country by saying that these councils of CEOs were hugely important to the massive job creation that Donald Trump was convincing them to do in their own companies in the United States. And now they're all gone. Don't need them. Gone. Today, the president announced he would go to Phoenix next week and have one of those Trump rallies that never have the slightest appeal to anyone who did not vote for Donald Trump. And the divider-in-chief got a message tonight from the mayor of Phoenix asking him not to come, an American mayor asking an American president not to come to his city. The mayor said, "I am disappointed that President Trump has chosen to hold a campaign rally as our nation is still healing from the tragic events in Charlottesville. But the President of the United States is not still healing from the tragic events in Charlottesville. He's all healed. He's all ready to go to continue to be the divider-in-chief."
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.